Hey everyone, so my question was asked by Dan in the group, and he wanted to know more about indexing, tag, and category pages, when and why. So I'm going to go over a little bit of that today in this video. So tags and categories. So I don't know if I've ever seen a site that uses tags and categories properly. Most of the time I come across sites that are using about 7 to 10 tags per post, and 5 to 10 categories per post as well. So we've really overdone it at this point. So with tags, I look at, is it a new site moving forward, or is it a site that doesn't have great rankings, or is it a site that's struggling? So if it's a site that's struggling, doesn't have great rankings, or it's a brand new site, I do not use tags. So building new sites moving forward, I haven't used tags in probably 4 years or more. Now, that holds true with local sites and your typical small sites, but it won't hold true for, let's say, e-com. So we have to really kind of be careful when we say never use tags again, because there are sites that are more dependent on tags. So, but with your typical local site, which predominantly is what I work on, although I do work on e-com and other sites, for typical local sites, I am not building out tags. I'm not using the feature. For older sites, if they have great rankings, I pay attention to the tags to see, what do they have going on? How overused were they? Usually they are. And I begin to combine tags. For a site that's old and ranking really well, I won't go in and just completely no index all 500 of their tags. But I do like to go in and make more of an educated decision. So if it's ranking well and it is an older site, you're going to see tags and they're going to be indexed. So I like to take a look, see what's going on, and then start to make some takeaways and decisions as I work on the site. But moving forward, brand new sites, I no longer use tags unless it's a site that would be dependent on tags. Then, of course, I would use them. But for your typical local sites, I have stopped using tags for a long time. And moving forward, we pretty much have no indexed the tags unless it's a e-com site. And then we have to evaluate other factors and make different decisions. So for category pages, I still like to use category pages. There are people who no longer use category pages at all, or they use the category pages, but they no index them. I still leave my categories indexed, and I still like to use them. Now, I don't build out a ton of categories. I think we have really overused the categories as well. So I build out a few main categories, and I like to use for categorization. And I still leave them indexed because it can be used for a good infrastructure of the site. So it's not a clear cut, no index all categories all of the time. If it's part of your SEO on-page structure, they can be used really well. But I will tell you, for tags and categories, you do not want to use your keywords. So if you're trying to rank for bathing suits, you don't want to build out categories that are bathing suits. You want to build out with something different that categorizes the actual bathing suits. And you can categorize in many different ways. For instance, a tree service site, I wouldn't have a category for tree service necessarily, but I do have categories for tree diseases and other factors that affect the trees or that we like to talk about on the sites. So going back in my long explanation, indexing tags, if it's a new site, I'm not building out tags, and so they certainly wouldn't be indexed. I'm not building them. But older sites, I do not simply go in and no index them without taking a look at what the site has going on first. If the site is struggling, has been hit by algos and is going down in rankings, and there's not really anything good to even salvage, then those tags would be no indexed as part of the cleanup. And then moving forward with categories, I still like categories. I still like to use categories. And I actually use categories in my overall on-page structure. There are a lot of people who know index categories and they're doing really well. And something that I think we really need to weigh out all of this is tags and categories, in my opinion, were predominantly made for the end users. So we really have to put the end users in our minds with this and realize, are they using the tags and are they using the categories to help navigate our site? Now, if it's a plumbing site and that type of thing, I don't think tags are appropriate anymore. And categories, sure, can be used if you want to talk about, sinks and kitchen, some kind of plumbing kitchen repairs, as opposed to toilets. So you might want to categorize that so that the person who's looking for that would be able to drum down your articles a little bit easier. So I think we can't make sweeping decisions if we're going to ever use tags again or categories, or if they're going to be indexed or not. So there's a little bit of a dialogue that has to take place and a little bit of research on our parts before we realize how we're going to move forward. But weighing all of that, something else that I do weigh in is tags and categories do take up crawl budget. So, as you know, each site is allocated a certain amount of crawl budget. And if we're blowing the whole crawl budget on tags and categories, we're going to have a problem. So it's about keeping the categories nice and concise. I still like to use them. And then keeping tags within reason or not even using tags. So I hope that answers some of the questions or helps you weigh some of the things that we weigh in when we're looking at sites and making these decisions. So that's it for the tags and categories. If you have further questions, just drop them below and I'll try and answer it as I see them. Have a good day and talk to you guys later.